When will you guys listen to me? UFC 48, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili was probably one of, if not the best women's fight that I've ever seen. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more fighting. Make sure you smash the like button. I'm going to jump right into it. I got a lot to say, but I almost don't know what to say. Listen, respect to Joanna and Weili. This was absolutely one of my favorite women's combat sports. So boxing, UFC fights, strawweight fights, any fight that I've ever seen. This was grueling. This was brutal. This was a roller coaster. This had action. This had drama. It was competitive. It was a championship bout, so it was meaningful. This had everything you wanted. Everything. Now, for this particular fight, I told you guys I was checking for this. Obviously, I want to watch Yoel Romero versus Adesanya, UFC 248. I told you guys to click on my link, order this. This was a great card, and we've seen it. We've seen some really good fights on this card. The main card has absolutely delivered. I still haven't watched. Obviously, I'm not going to make this too long because I want to make sure that I watch the main event. But this has been a crazy card. UFC definitely delivered. The Beneil fight was great. You know, that was similar, but you know, I was thinking that was the fight of the night, and I told you guys that in my post-fight video of that. I'm like, man, that's the fight of the night. That's the fight to beat. And then this fight came on, and I'm like, wow. So first of all, again, I can't say it enough. Respects to both. This was almost the type of fight where you don't want either person to lose. You know, they fought with might, heart, determination. They both beat each other up, fatigue, rock'em sock'em robots. This was a crazy fight, y'all. In the end, Weili of China was able to win, and you know, I don't know how everybody feels about that, but the scorecards were kind of split. One person for Joanna, they had 48-47. The other person had it 48-47 versus Zhang, and then another scorecard. They all had identical scorecards, but there was only one card for Joanna, right? And then two 48-47s for Weili, and still remains champion. They could definitely run this back. You know, some people may or may not agree with the win. Like I said, this is the type of fight you didn't want to see either party lose. They really tried. Again, I'm not going to go round by round. I'll give you a couple highlights that I've seen. I think round one, Joanna, she was very technical, good kicks, and you know, I gave her round one. Round two, I gave to Weili. I thought the harder shots were landed and kind of slowed up the pace. And the thing I like about Weili is and this is no offense to the female fighters, but to me, the way Weili technique and the way she strikes, she's throwing like almost like a dude, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to undermine female combatants, but she's really striking and throwing full force, kind of like Amanda Nunes and other people who can, other women that have real strong, powerful punches. Very tight technique, defense a little bit leaky at times, but every shot she was throwing was with bad intentions. And I think ultimately the power difference was why Weili won, because towards the fight as it progressed, you look at Joanna Jędrzejczyk's face, and her face was starting to give up. Her heart never gave up, but her face was starting to break up. She had a large hematoma on her forehead that got progressively worked over. And, you know, by the end of the fight, she was looking like Elephant Man, like the Goonies. Hey, you guys, you know, Rocky Road. And it was getting worse. So in terms of, I got to look at the punch stats as well. But Joanna had a good technique and try to pace it. Very good kicks. She was landing some inside kicks, some low kicks, and that was very good. But it just wasn't enough to deter Weili. They both were fighting almost like the Terminator. Like there was no give. Nobody's will was bent in this particular fight, which made it such a crazy fight. See, and the great thing is the way they both fought, had it been anyone lesser than those two women in the ring or in the octagon, excuse me, I think other people would have wilted. You got to have heart to go through that. They really put each other through the grinder. And, it was just a rough and very brutal fight. But I think in terms of a physicality point, they both threw good volume. But I think Weili's technique and punches, even though she was getting hit, she was never discouraged. And she overwhelmed not the heart of Joanna, but her face started to break up, and that type of stuff influences the scorecards. It was extremely close. You could have really said it was a draw. You could have had it either way, so you can't really cry. Some people look at you have to do more to beat the champion. It was just that type of fight. So I think Joanna, the only thing that sucks for Joanna is to go through that type of fight, a grueling fight, and you're battering each other and come out on the losing side, not as a champion. So that's the only downside. Like I said, this is the type of fight, very hard to score some of the rounds, but I think I'm okay with the decision. It's just a hard fight to score. They both did great things, but I think it was the power, and that was the difference, like the shots that were landing, like the strikes. I also thought Zhang Weili had closed round 5. I thought she captured round 5, but I know the both fighters are going to feel this tomorrow. It's that type of fight. The other thing is, it was just a great fight, people. The other thing is, I know Zhang Weili was tested because you look at Joanna, she has more experience fighting the Watersons and different people like that. So she was more experienced and try to pace herself, but the resistance and the pressure from Weili was she just kept coming and kept coming. But it never, even with they both had heart. That's the only way to put it. Because even with the hematoma and shit, you see Joanna, she just kept trying. Her jaw, she was taking shots and stuff like that. But the 5th round, if anything, was very imperative, and I gave that to Weili. I thought she kind of got a second win because there was round 3, maybe 4. I think it was 3. I was just having so much fun with this one that I wasn't really trying to, I wasn't looking at all the time and stuff like that. This is good to the last drop. Definitely one of the greatest women's fights that I've seen. But I think it was round 3. You seen Joanna, who's kind of pressing the issue, and you looked at Weili and it looked like she was starting to give a little bit, wilt a little bit from the shots. But then she must have gotten round 4 and 5. That heart kicked in, and she got maybe a second win. But I thought round 5 was imperative, and I think Weili landed the bigger shots. It was crazy. It was just a crazy fight. It's hard to score because when one person would do something well or land a good shot or a knee or a kick, then there'd be an instant response. So it's like, dang, like they wouldn't allow each other to have moments without a response. They were just great counters. Towards the end of the fight, I think round 5, Joanna did a spinning back fist and caught. But you got to look at the rounds in its entirety, and I think that's what it was. There was also round 4 or something, a singular kick that caught Weili on the jaw. It was a treacherous fight, but I think ultimately the physicality of it was probably the difference maker. The total damage. I just think the fight, that wasn't the fight that it was great for fans, but being more tactical, more of a technician, more experience, that was more Weili's fight. You see what I'm saying? That was more of a fight that accommodated what she does well, and Joanna being in the trenches, she should have tried to slow that tempo up because that was more of Weili's fight. But there was no knockouts or anything like that. It was really just a tough fight. There weren't really many takedowns or much wrestling. It was just straight in your face action, clapping each other's jaw, punches, kicks, low kicks, high kicks, elbows, heart, really everything you needed from a fight. I told you guys, I was checking for this fight, UFC 248. This was a fight you wouldn't want to miss. And I hope you guys clicked on that link. Use that link. It does help the channel, and we'll be there for the next UFC event too. I'm having fun with this, but this was definitely an awesome fight. You'll see from the pictures, like I said, where Joanna kind of messed up is the fight she fought was more of the style and pace, and that could favor the judges because at the end of it, she's looking like Rocky Dennis, like the mask. Her forehead's like punched up. You know what I'm saying? And don't get it twisted. Weili had not really been tested in the deeper waters, so she was definitely tested in the late rounds. So either way, you guys let me know who you had winning. I don't think you could be mad at either person winning. You can't be mad at a draw. You can't be mad at the champion staying the champion. I don't think you should be mad at all. I don't know what the impressions are, but you know, close fights, sometimes people root for who they root for. It was overall just a great women's fight. Run it back, show it again. There's definitely a learning experience for both fighters, especially the inexperienced in the deeper rounds champion. And, you know, China got someone bad, but I did like the technique. I think Joanna fundamentally did a lot of things right, but she never discouraged enough or slowed the pace. And I think that's kind of where Zhang Weili impressed 2 of the 3 judges in that sequence, because neither one of them broke up and, you know, gave up. There was nothing like so flagrant. And like I said, it was a hard fight to score, because right when a huge punch or strike or knee or kick would land, then the other person would respond. So they kind of kept taking the play away from each other. Very difficult fight to score, but it was definitely a fun fight. You can run it back. One of the greatest women's fights ever. Definitely a strawweight that I can think of. It was high level competition. UFC got one with this. I really enjoyed this one. I can't say enough. Respect to both women. They did, you know, Weili did China proud with the performance like this. It was a championship performance round she wasn't experienced with, and she kept in there. And the same thing with Joanna. You know, she got to keep her head up, but it obviously is going to be discouraging going through a meat grinder like that and coming out and not getting the victory. But it is what it is. It's combat sports. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your description of the fight. You know, use emojis too. I want to see what y'all think of this fight. Drop words and emojis in the comment section and let me know what you guys think of this fight. I told you to get this card. UFC 248. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.